This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by the FanQuest Halloween Ball, October 26th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the Windsor Community Center, 99 Springside Drive in Winnipeg. Go to fanquestcon.com for more information, and the first 50 people through the door will receive a free GMB Kamichek print.
Night of the Living Dead.
See you there.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
We're starting
Where's the list? Where's the list?
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry. This is our follow-up episode to our New York Comic Con coverage episode. And one of the things we're going to talk about here is follow-ups. Let's imagine for a moment, Justin, that you are a working full-time illustrator, comics maker, and you've just come back from a major convention season, which include both New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con, both excellent for follow-ups. What kind of follow-ups should you do?
There's usually come back with like a little bit of a list. There's people that you had direct conversations with or contact with or a meeting with where you talked about a potential project or a potential way to collaborate. So there's that existing relationship that now you need to kind of cement with an email exchange.
Okay,
right?
So let's imagine that is a pre-existing relationship with a, in your case, like a media client, like say a video game company. What would be your go-to follow-up email? What would it seem like? What would it look like?
I just want to touch base. It was great to chat with you. I'm excited about projects. My schedule looks like this. Let me know what you guys had in mind and go from there.
Now, are you often asked questions about your availability and or your costs, like your day rates or your per illustration costs in those early conversations? And would you reference that?
You got to kind of wait until you see what they want. They might want, the next 6 months of your time to do storyboarding.
Right.
Or they might want one piece of artwork for online campaigning. Stuff like that. So you have no idea what the scope of the project is at this point, maybe. So I want to touch base. And knowing from kind of like being on the other end of this, of people like reaching out and like, hey, I want to follow up, like, can we collaborate on this or whatever? A lot of times it's just, you're busy, you're traveling, you're doing a lot of things, and you don't mean to, but sometimes those emails go unanswered and then you kind of forget.
Right.
So I'm not bothered when somebody like that reaches out again because I didn't reply or it took me a long time to reply. Just like, hey, just wanted to follow up again. My schedule is clear now. Wanted to see if we can continue that conversation. So actually, I have a couple of those where I talked to some companies in, San Diego or other conventions, and I reached out and they never replied back. And I think it was just they're busy. They're busy people. There's lots going on. Maybe it wasn't the best time of year to be reaching out.
Or so they saw your work.
Or they saw my work.
Come on now. I was just about to say, you don't get discouraged if you don't get an answer back.
Exactly.
That's for people who are like, oh, they hate me, they don't want to talk to me. That's not what it is.
Exactly.
That's not the.
Sometimes
if they didn't like you, they wouldn't have given you their card in the first place. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just gonna be a truth talker here. Sometimes they don't like your work, and you have
Then
to
why
be
are they
okay
talking
with
to
that.
you?
Sometimes people get caught in conversations at shows that they don't know how to end, and sometimes the way they end it is by handing you a card.
That's why. So continuing on this
No, but I'm being serious,
I
right?
understand,
Like,
yeah.
people should have their disappointment is that space between what they hope will happen and what will actually happen, right? So you should also know that sometimes you weren't right for the project and your work is not a good fit, and that's why they didn't follow up.
And
that's okay.
Do you find that more people will just not reply rather than just come out and say that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. They just not reply.
So frustrating for me. As somebody who really values communication, I would rather they be upfront with me and say it's not a great fit. And you're like, okay, great, thank you for telling me.
Those are also my favorite replies. My favorite rejections are actual rejections, not like ghosting. Yeah. Sure.
Quick sidebar: I was approaching people for prizing and businesses for like cross promotion stuff for FanQuest, and one of the businesses I approached is your neighbor here, Toad Hall Toys, which is just down the street. Great little old school toy, not a sponsor, but we want them to be.
Best toy store in Winnipeg.
It's very cool. I love them. That's why I emailed them and said, "Listen, we would love to have some, maybe a gift card or something that you could give to us." And then I worded the email, and I put out a lot of emails like this, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I said to them, and they replied back and said, "I'm sorry, we only support children's charities such as, Make-A-Wish or something like that." That's what they do. They made that choice as a business to do that, which is fine. I replied back. I said, "Well, thank you very much for the quick reply. I do appreciate it, and I something along the lines of I admire your choice of supporting those charities." And then the woman replied back and said, "I've never had a reply to a rejection email. People just usually don't reply." And so, and this was actually back when we were still in our Kickstarter phase of FanQuest, and she supported us on Kickstarter because of that.
Wow.
So I'm like, awesome, thank you. And it was great to just, like, you never know what's going to happen if you just
almost
send
like
a quick
what you're
reply.
saying is being a decent human being could be the right way to go.
Well, but not only that, but actually communicating that to the person that you're a decent human being.
Totally
instead of just ignoring it and leaving it alone. Always reply.
You talking about that, how the way of the world used to be, everybody was polite. So if you raised a fuss, you got a lot of attention and things changed. But now the norm is everybody raises a fuss. So being polite is getting you more attention now.
This is my new theory of human interaction.
That tracks, absolutely. That makes sense to me. Now, talking about sending out, now how many people are you emailing this week to follow up?
So, well, it was a loaded question. I asked the question so I could answer the question also. Because Justin and I are in slightly different arenas when it comes to what kind of follow-ups we have. Because I write for some people, I illustrate for some people, and I write and illustrate books. And I do some stuff in film and TV also. There's lots of different kinds of follow-ups. And I have to double down on the thing we talked about. So if you, for example, were someone that said, "Hey, I might get you to do some conceptual design for some film projects that we're doing," then I would follow up with a summation of our conversation. "Hey, we talked at this day about this stuff. Here is a link to my Dropbox," right? It's a link, not an attachment, so that it doesn't take up any space in their email. And the way Dropbox works is you can create a link so nobody needs a Dropbox account and they can still view the thing that you've linked. Send a link to a PDF of work that is related to our conversation. And then I also say, I have a little follow-up paragraph that says, "I also do XYZ as part of my regular day job. If any of these things are of interest, I have samples I can send you for those things too." I don't say, "Oh, and here's a writing sample. Oh, and here's a comic sample. Oh, and here's a..." I don't do that.
Well, that stuff is also available. They can Google you and find that information if they want to, right? They can go down that extra step. So you do customize it for every person you...
Every
that's what I was getting at with that. Because, and Justin, same for you, I would imagine you customize it for your people's, or rather than just copying and pasting a thing or sending out a mass email.
Right.
People can tell when you do that.
Really tell,
Like if you say, "Dear sir / madam, thank you for whatever," that, like, you could take what you said, Justin, and make that into a form letter. But it's better if you can like relate something to remind them of who you are, because they probably had a million conversations.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before, of knowing what you want and what you're after. Probably in like the early days of like these conversations, you were just kind of looking for illustration work, whatever shape that took.
Right.
And actually, so it seemed like a little more of a generic email, but now you want to work on like this kind of project with these kinds of people and this kind of like delivery system. Like you've really honed what you're looking for. And I think that comes across in the emails. You're not just broadly looking for work.
Here's the thing that I will say about that is that, because we're talking about how to follow up, like you mentioned in your example that sometimes you don't get a reply, so you send again, right? As
Yeah.
the ping.
How long do you wait to send it again?
But here's an interesting thing. So one editor that I talked to at a comic company, which everyone would know, but must remain nameless until we follow up.
Rhymes with Blarvel. Just joking.
No, not Blarvel. Not Blarvel. But the editor said, and here's an interesting thing. Please do keep in touch and continue to ping me from time to time so that I keep you on my mind.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a person who knows his own work habits and knows that he does tend to lose details if it's not reminded.
Right.
And I'm the same way, and many people are that way. So that's good that he's aware of that. I shouldn't assume it's a man.
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
How dare you, sir?
The person, is it a man?
How dare you, sir? I'm not going to give that kind of information. This is personal contact
But anyway, this
information.
person knows their own kind of work habits, and that's great. So they're basically giving you permission to bug them.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And that is awesome. So it led with particularly like this sample and this sample. It's right in line with what we're doing. Looking for a cover for you right now. But if you don't hear back from me, remind me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's anyone who is familiar with the idea that in a creative field, particularly publishing, you're going to field 10 or 15 urgent emails every day. And so
There's one right now.
Yeah, just your phone blinging away. You're going to field these emails, and stuff that was on your mind a week ago drops down in its urgency, drops down one more time. Oh, I really liked or connected with that person, but as it gets further and further from the time that you actually interacted, they become less and less likely to carry that personal connection forward, right? That's normal. And if they respond saying that they liked the work and you should keep in touch, then you really must. If you don't get a follow-up, that's on you now.
Someone ever tries to kill you, you try to kill him right back.
On some of my follow-ups, which I've received emails back from already, my favorite was basically related to looking at your previously published work. I'm curious to know if you can, how did they word it? It took me too long to dig it up, but it was basically saying your characters don't interact as strongly with your background environments. The backgrounds seem incidental to how your characters are placed. Do you have any examples that show the character moving through and interacting with the environment as if the environment was a character? Like, this is a specific editor feedback, like something they really like to see in their illustration. So, like, the stuff you sent us doesn't show this to my satisfaction. Do you have anything else that does? Maybe you just picked your own favorites is essentially what they're saying, and maybe there's something else. And I just thought that was such an informative type of rejection.
Or then you realize, oh crap, I never have my characters interacting with the backgrounds. But I better start doing that.
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. It is a weakness in my own illustration that I absolutely have to be honest about when I'm looking into my own portfolio, that I often have the characters interact with objects, but not fully immersed in their own environments, which is like Comics 101. You should be doing it by now. Mm-hmm. But I usually don't. I don't have a good reason. It's just not. It's something I'm working on. So then Saturday night, after receiving Friday that email, Saturday night, I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to make a 3-page comics where the environment is part of the story. And I just thumbnailed out a little horror story where, like, the haunted spaceship is part of the character, and that moving through that environment was essential to showing the story pacing. And I just told myself, like, okay, fine, I don't have anything in my portfolio that really shows that, so I'm going to make something that does show that. More to prove to me that I could take that kind of...
Keep in mind, too, like, your portfolio is always
evolving.
growing, and maybe your portfolio 8 months ago didn't turn any heads at this company, but your portfolio now will. I oftentimes, when I'm, like, about to complete a big project, I have, like, a note, when you finish this, send it to blank and blank.
Yeah.
Like, because this project seems like it's perfect for these companies and what they do.
So one of the things, and maybe this is a bit of practical advice for the listener, I don't let anything go in one of those Dropbox portfolio links to an editor that I'm reaching out to that's more than 3 months old. Right?
Okay, interesting.
Which often means that there's stuff that's unpublished in those samples also, but it's my best current work. is how I'm thinking of
Yeah,
it.
you don't want to send them like something from 10 years ago when you're first starting out.
Even
though,
from 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Right? Even from 2 years ago is too far.
So Baby Metal's out now.
Baby Metal is right on the edge. I took my favorite pages because that shows some range. Like Baby Metal jumps through time, so I picked a page from a bunch of different eras and I included that. But in putting that together, I realized this is the last time, if I follow my own rules, that I can use these pages as an example to an editor.
But again, they can Google you. They can see that you created Baby Metal. It shows up.
Yeah.
So they can look at that.
I mean,
on
it's
their
right
own.
there in your email signature. Like I put a list of the things you're most likely to find out about me if you Google me is in my email signature. What's in your email signature? Do you have one? Is that a thing for you?
Chasing artwork, and I think it links to my DeviantArt.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't have one. I hate them.
You hate them?
I do. I don't know why. I tell students to make them. I have a class where I take them through the process of making it, and I should have one, but I just don't.
I
don't know.
clean ones. I hate it when it's like a short novel and 8 links and 4 phone numbers and like.
To be fair, I'm like, you already have the main point of contact for me. You have my email address, which is being sent on.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I can see why you would want to include like a website, at least a website, one website. So for FanQuest, I usually put, I actually type it in manually every time, fanquestcon.com. I don't know why. I don't know why I do
Put
this.
it in your signature.
I know. I just don't know.
Oh my God.
I just never, I can't figure out how to do it on this this email program.
I've noticed too, like, maybe it's just kind of some of the emails and messages that I've been like fielding lately, but nobody wants to do any work on their end anymore. Like if they want to know like all my artwork and like everything I do is like up on my sites and everything's linked to each other. And like, if you put in time, all these questions could be answered, but instead people will just message you, hey, where's this?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can go back 2 pages and link it to you, or
Yeah, I get that for FanQuest as well. Like, it's people like, what time does it start? It's right. It's on the website. Let's just go look at our website. You know, they're not. They just. I want it. And I mean, I actually experienced that in the newsroom at CJOB when I worked there, and people call you for the most mundane details. What time is the Jets game on? What's the weather going to be like today? It's like, just listen to the radio. It'll be on in an hour. Like within the hour, you can get everything you need.
Do you think maybe this is also, there was a time where you only reached out to people who were in professional situations if you yourself were a professional, and now it's sort of a salad bar of open contacts? Yeah,
absolutely. And then, so because anybody can, people are not aware of the proper channels to go through or the proper way to phrase something. So that's why we get like anybody and everybody emailing or messaging us to contact us for various reasons. That's fine. I mean, I'm not getting angry at it, but it is somewhat frustrating when they ask kind of a question that's very easily answered if they just do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
Just a bare minimum.
Well, and so in my follow-ups, this is relevant also to the listener. When I put my list together of follow-ups, I had like 100 contacts that I could reach out to and picked a dozen that were actually fit.
I think that's another thing. If you're going to be cold calling companies or
it shows.
Well, if you're a horror artist and most of your stuff is like dark and eerie, and you reach out to Scholastic kids wanting to do a book, they're going to like shake their head and delete your email.
Yeah, immediately. The other, well,
I want to see that story now. It's for
another,
it's another
Scary
story.
Stories to Tell in the Dark is sold by Scholastic.
Oh, so for sure.
If you have the right fit,
Goosebumps and all that other stuff, right?
You have the right fit. But what I was going to say is, so I was typing some of these follow-ups, and I was looking at some cards, and I would just write honestly what first came to mind, right? Often change it. Like, you know, one particular person noticed this sweater I was wearing and made a comment of it, and it's the first thing that came to mind. I'm not actually going to email them about how they and I talked about my sweater, but it just reinforced to me in my mind that we had this actual conversation. And then I thought about what was the real content, went from there. But
did you just remember that, or did you have it written down?
No, I didn't remember that. Like,
a trick I use, as soon as I get a business card at a convention, I write down, like with Black Sharpie, on top of their card, what we talked about and why I'm going to follow up.
Yeah, sometimes I do that. And my cards I made with blank space so that I could write what we were talking about and then leave it with them. But what I was going to say is that some of the cards, when I looked at it, it's like, I only picked this up because I thought it'd be nice to work for you. That is not a reason to reach out to somebody.
No.
I don't know anything about their company, not really. I don't know anything about their publishing history, not really. this is like a year from now, maybe I'll follow up with this same editor once I get to know the products that they're making, right? It's nice to collect all these contacts and reach out to people, but it's premature in most cases.
Nice to see someone from the old homestead.
Not really. Call me if anyone interesting shows up.
As the artist or the creative in this scenario, is the onus on you to reach out, or do you have people from publishing houses reaching out to you after these conversations?
I get also people reach out to me.
Right.
Also.
But they're doing the exact same thing on their end, going, okay, here's all the cards I found of all the different artists. They're looking at different things, and they're actually making that connection themselves.
See, different in that scenario because, at least my perception of it is different, because your art style is connecting with something that they've seen. So they will say, I have you in mind for this project. Do you think you could send me samples that are specific to this project style? Now, it used to be that a lot of editors would ask for pages on spec, like, can you that's falling out of favor. Marvel and DC still do that, but asking people to do free work is kind of passé. So what you try to do and what the editors do to go around it is to simply say, show us something as close to this thing that you already made.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And it leaves it up to you. If you think to yourself, oh man, I don't have anything great that's like that, I should go and work on that.
Yeah.
Well, you should do that anyway to develop your skill set. But they shouldn't be asking for it.
If you really want to impress, you could, sketch out a few pages of whatever.
Yeah.
Here's what it would be like, and then depending on how much time you have and your schedule. But
and that horror project that I did this weekend, it's important to note that I didn't then suddenly send it back to that person and say, here, please. Right? I realized myself that their criticism was actually a valid, good criticism of my own creative process. And the first thing I did, really considering that, is not the thing to then send to the editor. 6 or 8 months of practicing and incorporating that stuff into my workflow, right? We've talked about Wally Wood's 22 panels that always work a bunch of different times, but if you're the first podcast episode, if you're getting into making comics and you're wondering about how to sort of start your compositions, Google 22 panels that always work by Wally Wood, and you will see a collection of how to make what would otherwise be boring talking head scenes into interesting visual dynamics. Mm-hmm. So I went through recently, we had 2 mentees, I guess, come to our studio that are from Red River. I was using this as an example. And then I opened up my own most recent portfolio work, realizing actually, I don't actually know if these are in here. I don't know when the last time I personally actually did this. And we went through and checked off all the different times these panels work. And to my own surprise, I had internalized so much of it that I was doing 20 of these 22 panels pretty regularly in almost all of my processes. And it was like a big sigh of relief that the advice I was giving, I was also following. But one of the pieces of advice I always give to people who are like, how do I get a start in comics is, can you boil your story down to beginning, middle, end in 3 pages? If you can do it, then you can expand it anyway. So that's what I was doing this weekend. Was I have this idea for a story, I'm going to follow my own advice, I'm going to follow this editor's input, and I'm going to try and work on the actual craft, right?
Cool.
Which I think is an important follow-up. When you're talking about follow-ups, it's not just what other people can do for you, but when you get feedback, that you internalize it and say, okay.
That's the great thing about going to conventions like this is you have so many different people seeing your work for the first time and giving you feedback on it. And if you're lucky and get somebody who's honest about it and says, yeah, this is great, but here's a way in which you can improve, that so helps you become a better artist and creator, right?
Yeah. My wife, Tara, often says that never take advice from someone whose life you wouldn't want.
I don't want to be a doctor, but I would take advice from my doctor.
Well, medical advice, that's different. But if you're a creative person and you're making books for a living and someone gives you advice and you look at their career trajectory and you say to yourself, well, I wouldn't want to do that as my job. Their creative life I wouldn't want as my life. You have to take their criticism with a grain of salt also, right? And so this comes back around to that same editor. They'd edited some pretty impressive comics works, so it behooved me to pay attention.
From Blee T Comics.
No.
Okay.
We're going to leave that person's name out also. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
So yeah, now we're coming out of convention season. Conventions are over.
One more left. Are we going to talk about that one or no? You don't want to talk about that?
No one else is talking about that one.
Okay, we'll cut that part out. So
That was cold. That was so harsh. I'm so sorry.
So you guys are done with your kind of big round of convention. Certainly the traveling side. Right. There might be little events, local events here you'll be a part of. And now you dig deep. From what I remember, the last couple, we're doing this podcast with you guys for a couple of years now, and this is like November. Is like your November, December is like your get down and work, and even into January, right? That's your like, it's cold winter here in Winnipeg. I'm gonna burrow in and just crank out a bunch of work, which is what you guys will be doing.
So excited to do that. We made a 10. So back in our misspent youth at the studio, we made a book called Snow Troll's Daughter and Red and See-Through,
like
which we
a year or two ago.
That's so far away.
That had just come out when we started this podcast. It was brand new.
Amazing. Okay, so and how that book came about is we gave ourselves exactly 10 days to start working on it and then get it to the printer. Mm-hmm. So it's very short. It was like 12 or 13 pages each, so it rounds out, I think, to like 35, maybe 40 pages.
And it's like a
total.
double-sided.
I think it was 20 pages each.
Each is it? Yeah, I forget. We'll have to look at it.
You read it and you flip it over, and each like two stories in one book kind of thing.
Two stories in one book. It's a flip book, and what we told ourselves is we're on the road. We can't work. We're going to thumbnail. We're going to plan. We're going to do all the thinking, all the math of it, and then we're going to execute. So we've been having that talk again for like what projects we can just set a 10-day time limit on and just work.
We something we've talked about on the podcast a couple times that I'd like to try is different artists with the same script will give you completely different stories, right? So I want to do a short story where Greg and I are handed the exact same script and then see what
we run away and produce whatever 20 pages.
It'd be cool.
Completely independent of each other.
It'd be cool to do that with more than just two artists. You could get some other people.
Yeah,
make
it could be a really neat.
That would be a neat way of looking at that for
Maybe
sure.
it's just like a 4-page comic.
Bit of an experiment though, because you don't know what you're going to buy. You guys can be confident in your own work, but
you don't know who else.
It's hard to find a fit when you don't know what they're going to produce, right?
Yeah. So, but what's neat is if you do the math on like 10 days sounds like too short of a time.
That's 2 weeks basically in conventional working days.
But consider that we tend to work 10 hours at least in the studio. So that's 100 hours. And if you've already done your thumbnailing, like the plan is in place, the script is done, right? You're just putting in 100 hours of illustration. You can accomplish a lot in 100 hours.
All you need to do is put on Star Trek The Next Generation and you're good to go.
And let it rip. Yeah. Oh my God. 100 episodes later.
That's almost the entire run of this season.
Right?
How many? I don't know how many, but there's 100 and something.
Yeah.
It's in syndication, so there's more than 100. And you guys have talked in the past about how watching something, you're not really watching it, you're just having it playing in the background, which is, I find
like
is something,
an old friend.
It is. And a lot of, I just did this time management assignment with my students, graphic design students, and a lot of them talked about watching Netflix while they're working and just having something on in the background. Some of them will listen to music, and you guys listen to music as well, but also just having that TV show playing, I just find is an interesting way of doing it.
I can't do that while I'm planning.
You have to know when it's appropriate and when it's not. Yeah.
Right. When you're putting the idea together, having someone else's idea pouring into your ear is a bad idea.
No, then you end up, putting them into a transporter and.
But once you've done that
down.
early work, and now you're just doing the labor, the heavy lifting, if you will, of the illustration, then being 80% attentive on your color theory is okay if you already did the plan and you have something to check. But you shouldn't be making up stuff, right? While you're listening to
You're just going to come up with another version of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's what that's going to be.
Which is fine.
It's called the Orville. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Psychic, though? That sounds like something out of science fiction.
You live in a spaceship, dear.
I often play a mental game. We could do it right now. Let's do it together. Add a show that you watch to Star Trek and think of the kind of show it would be. So what's your show? Like
Dexter.
Dexter, right? Dexter plus Star Trek.
So it's an alien race that goes around destroying other alien races, but it turns out those alien races that they're destroying
They deserve it.
They deserve it.
Right? There you go.
But doesn't Dexter work as a cop as well?
So he's in Star. So maybe it's someone who's constantly violating the Prime Directive.
There you
It's
go.
like somebody
But
from
it's actually for the
It's a
for the
Q.
better.
It's somebody from the Q continuum.
Right.
So they're going. They know the future, right? They know.
They know everything.
Yeah. So they're going around deleting bad species before they
I like
become big enough to.
it. All right, let's play again. Okay, Star Trek Plus.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. So a bunch of kids below decks, like not part of the main
Wesley,
Starship cast.
led by Wesley, young
yeah, like
Wesley.
a Wesley
I
style.
already don't like him.
What's wrong with Wesley?
Oh my god.
I loved Wesley. Growing up, I was the exact same age as. Oh, he's a little bit older than me, but like he was the teenager on the ship at a time when I was a teenager watching the show. I totally identified with Wesley, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And he
Crusher
episodes.
was the right name for his mom because I totally had a crush.
Oh, absolutely, yes. But yeah, no. Okay, so kids,
a bunch
in the,
of kids.
kids in the ship.
They get involved in some kind of extra dimension. There's constantly cross-dimensional stuff going on in
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Trek.
and you can see an experiment, something going wrong with the drive or something,
Yeah.
and,
They
and
did an
Geordie's
episode
involved.
where everybody got kidified. Remember?
That's right.
Yes,
Oh my
that's
God.
right. Oh my God,
In
they've
fact,
already
now
done
that
it.
you bring
No,
that up,
Wesley. Just
Voyager also did the Dexter thing where the sociopath is on the ship,
I
right?
don't remember that one.
He's like, he's the character working in engineering, and there's like a body in engineering. They're like, well, that's really weird. And then it turns out that the guy working next to him was like, yeah, I just couldn't stand his laugh, so I killed him. And it turns out they've had this sociopath on the crew forever.
Oh, wow.
And he
Oh.
becomes a reoccurring character in Voyager.
Right.
I have not watched that forever.
They decide they will rehabilitate him. They don't just execute him, even though that's what he wants. They keep him in his quarters. So all the episodes between that episode and when he would show up again, you know in the back of your mind, like, in that door right back there, there's a guy just waiting to kill you.
So what you're saying is that Star Trek
been
has already
done.
told all the stories.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anything we can come up with, Star Trek's already done it.
Ouch, that's cold.
Well, it's been for a long
like
time.
that.
Anyway. That was a weird sound. What was that sound?
That was the sound of my expectations
Oh,
withering.
sorry.
My game lost all its fun.
That's okay. What else? Let's talk about something else. What's on your list?
Well, on my list was following up with how editors and collaborators and publishers are all very different. Right? When you follow up with an editor, it's showing the editor what you can do, your most recent work. When you're following up with a collaborator, it's the kind of work you wish you were doing that you're following up, and you pitch a few brief ideas like, here's a thing I'd like to work on. Maybe you'd like to work on that with me. And when you're dealing with publishers, it's, I have examples of a project that is almost completed. Would you like to see some of it? Because I'll send it to you if you want.
You've already got the product pretty much finished. And an editor, you're pitching the idea for them to pay you to do it.
Correct. So like an editor would have a place that he might plug and play. Like, oh, I have a story coming up. You're a good person to fit this into this ongoing series. Or I have a writer that doesn't have an artist. You're a good fit for that, or vice versa. Right? That editor has a slate of things they're trying to fit in. They have their chessboard already in play. A collaborator is just someone that you're like, I really think hanging out with you is fun. We have similar ideas. Maybe we could work on something, and it wouldn't be a pain in both of our asses to spend a lot of time together. Right? This is an important
What
step.
you guys do is just a long-term collaboration, basically.
That's right. Although the pain in the ass quotient rises and falls depending on lots of things. And then with the publishers want sure things. They want to be able to see it. They want to know what shape it will have. Send us some. It doesn't have to be finished, but it should be far enough along that you can prove that the whole idea is there.
That's cool.
Right.
It reminds me of this YouTube series I've been watching called Pitch Meeting, which is it's about movies essentially, and it's one guy who plays both roles. He's a screenwriter and a producer, and he shoots both ends of it. And basically, he has conversations about various movies and television properties. And this guy's pitching the idea of this movie, and he's done one for like Game of Thrones and other things. And then the producer just points out all the flaws and the issues with it.
Right.
And he's like, so, like they just and it shows like they don't care about this stuff. They're still going to make this movie or whatever it is. And it's really funny. It's they do it for there's nothing safe. They've done it for all the Star Wars movies. They've done it for hugely successful films, but also not so good movies.
Right.
So it's just interesting that, of course you don't know, this is all in retrospect after the films come out. So you don't know that kind of stuff.
Until later, yeah.
Until later. But it's fun. It's a funny premise. I really enjoy it.
Well, I met with a producer for breakfast the other day, a local film producer that is putting together a slate of 5 horror movies. So like when you're producing one film. It's actually harder to get one film produced often than a slate of pictures with a set of budgets. So you might say, I want to do 3 films for $8 million, right? And our production company is going to roll a bunch of the costs of that, making those 3 films
because they're all going to be
into
shot
one
around
budget.
the same time in the same locations. And you can kind of
Right,
So
you're using
it's like what Nicholas Burns was talking about when he was on the podcast, and he talked about those movies like the Eye of the Beast and all those
Right.
movies that were shot here in the late '90s, or whenever that was.
So like the slang term that you're looking for when you're listening to people doing that is they'll say the number of episodes and then the cost, right, for TV, or the number of films and then the total budget. So someone approached me, someone I've actually known for a long time, and it's just finally we're both in a position where maybe we could help each other. And it's a slate of horror films that have a whole bunch of creatures. It's like low budget creature features. Would I like to come on and maybe do some production design and some writing and some story breaking and that kind of stuff, which was like it's literally a dream come true to be offered that. There's a movie dies 1,000 deaths before it gets made. So, I mean, there's a lot that can happen between now and anything. But being given a list of monsters that I can do production design for right now was like my favorite follow-up. Like when you're talking about what I get to dig into over the next bunch of months, brainstorming a bunch of horrible creatures.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So maybe what I should do is ask you guys for advice. You've been watching a horror movie every day.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind, but I'll catch up. And interestingly, speaking of creature design, I was watching last night Pan's Labyrinth, which I've not finished yet. I have a hard time getting through that movie. I don't know why, but the creature design is amazing. That's like the best part of that film is all the design. And it's interesting because I've watched other films like The Void, which had really different creature design. And even Stranger Things has kind of, they did remind me a bit of Stranger Things season 3, because there's that scene in the hospital. Same thing with The Void. It takes place in a hospital. Remember in Stranger Things where that thing comes in and it's...
And all the pustules sort of joined together.
What I find interesting about Stranger Things, so these movies you're talking about, are these like going to be R-rated, or we already know it's going to be...
They'd be R, I'm pretty sure,
Because Stranger Things manages to do it with a PG-13 rating, and that's because there's no blood necessarily. This creature comes in and it's black, and it's got these kind of tendrils and different things, but there's nothing like human about it. There's nothing organic necessarily about it. It's just this creature. Whereas in The Void, it's all kind of various body parts and stuff like that coming together. So it's different, and it's
so if
much
you hit
more...
it with a fire axe, it's much more horrible.
Well, there's that as well. But if you hit the thing in Stranger Things with a fire axe, it doesn't seem like to hurt it at all. No. It doesn't make a difference. So I find it's just fascinating to me the different types of designs people come up with for these movies in order to achieve the rating they want.
Yeah, well,
they have to think about that when they're going into it.
Cool. Like if you think about, there's this whole genre slice in horror film character creation, focused around the mask, right? Like, you think of Halloween, you think of
Scream.
Friday the 13th, you think of Scream, right? You think of My Bloody Valentine,
Even
right?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All this iconic masks. To be looking at a slate of character-centered horror films that there's no mask genre in it, like that's still on my bucket list, is like to design the crazy mask. There's a Jonathan Ball, who we've mentioned a number of times, has a property that he's working on that he's had me do some mask design for, which one day I hope to see on a screen somewhere, but it'll probably be a comic first.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
The mask for Halloween famously was...
William Shatner!
Yeah, and everybody... I put that out there. We're going to do a bit of a trivia thing at our upcoming FanQuest event, horror trivia, and I put that out there. I'm like, how many people really know this? And a lot of people do. It's pretty common knowledge now, I think, that... But where was the... the question is, where did that mask come from? Was it an existing...
It was an existing
Star Trek
Halloween mask of William Shatner's face. This is the lore I've heard.
Okay.
And they got it from just like a convenience store, and then they painted it white, and that was it.
But added black hair to it, too.
No, I think it was just a poorly constructed mask to begin with.
Oh, and is that his real hair? I thought the hair was part of the mask.
The hair is on the mask. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right?
Like,
I
see
it
what
was
you're
like
saying.
a bad Halloween mask.
Right. It was
of
probably a
William Shatner.
knockoff of not officially licensed or anything like that.
right,
They just took a mold of William Shatner's face from something that he'd done. And
Well, and when you're making low budget stuff, props are a big problem. Like a mask like that, you need 8 or 10 of them.
yeah.
Because if you get some splatter on it in one scene and you have to do a new take, you can't wait to clean it off. You have to switch masks and go again. So you can totally realize the wisdom of them just taking an off-the-shelf mask that they could buy a whole bunch of, altering it enough that, right?
Same with the hockey mask, Jason.
Yeah, and if the first, but people don't realize that the second movie, the mask didn't show up till the third Friday the 13th.
Correct.
And the first one of the killers is mom.
Yeah.
Let's all remember that.
Oh,
and
spoiler.
Then, whatever. And the second movie, he's got a burlap sack on his head,
Yeah,
so it doesn't have.
for
Yeah.
his eyes.
So but they abandoned that, and he has the hockey mask, which I think he just kind of comes across. I don't remember how he gets it, but he just he decides to wear a mask for some reason.
Oh, I don't know.
I've watched it like in the last couple of years, and I can't remember
Like
exactly.
2 years ago, Netflix got like all 7 of them.
There's 10, I think. Aren't
There's
there?
10,
or
yeah.
11,
Jason X is the best one.
Yeah.
It's the best one.
Yeah, Jason goes to space.
Oh my God! It's Star Trek plus Friday the 13th.
It is, yes. And David Cronenberg gets
There's
killed.
even a holodeck.
There is a
holodeck. Yes, that's right.
It's full circle.
It's my favorite one. It's my favorite Star. I'm going to watch it tonight because I love the movie so much.
So okay, well, this started with
you were asking us for advice about creature design.
What do you think makes a good?
I'm a big fan of the not seeing it part of horror where it's not fully revealed. And I'm not even a huge fan of when they do fully reveal whatever the creature is. I'm more scared. Like the Blair Witch Project terrified me when I saw it in the theaters because we never see what it is.
Head count. We watched Head Count.
I watched that as well, yes.
When that movie gets ruined is when they reveal the monster.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I watched that on your recommendation last week, and it was very interesting. And I love the camera work. The camera always had me like, keep pan that way so I can see what's going on. And it never would. Like it never goes where you want it to go because they want you to keep guessing.
Peeking,
But the idea behind that, when they show the actual creature, what it looks like, didn't look great.
Sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know how this one escaped my attention, but I didn't see Hell House until this weekend. Have you guys ever
I've never seen that
Like
one.
the old school? No, I don't think I've watched it.
I looked up like best. I was looking for a good horror movie to watch, so I just like Googled like best horror movies on Amazon Prime, and it was like one of the list of 20. It was
Not a
the only one
sponsor.
I'd never seen.
Right.
And there was a lot of that where it was stuff that was happening in the background that was very subtle that you had to be like paying attention to. So it kind of reminded me of like the photography on that one. But Hell House, great movie. Check it out.
But what are some of the scariest creatures when we actually do see the creature? I would say actually really was the void did unnerve me in that way because it was very different and kind of gross and part of very human-esque, but also different. I'm trying to think of some other creatures.
The Hills Have Eyes.
That's scary because it's actual people. Yes, for sure.
What's the guy who did Reanimator? The movie he did after that, where it was like another dimension, and there was all those goop creatures.
And I mean, you can't mention creature design without. Okay, this is good. It's double, so my heart just beat twice.
Yeah.
Right. So I was going to mention Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, because all the Cenobites are crazy.
But everything about that movie
But
is
the
crazy.
love letter in Mandy to those Cenobites with those bikers.
I didn't like Mandy.
Mandy is a weird film.
But
but
I was not. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. I just did not.
It's the film. What is it, like? All the reviews say an uncompromising vision.
Yeah.
Which is what they mean is like you might not like it.
That's right.
But it's a really. It's a
I
crazy
do
film.
appreciate the imagery in it, and Nicolas Cage with the giant chainsaw and that whole
Chainsaw
thing.
duel?
That whole thing was great, but I don't know. It just kind of dragged to me. So,
Have you seen Beyond the Black Rainbow?
No, not seen that one.
That's a movie designed to drag. It's supposed to like lull you into a sense of sleep and then shock you, like wake you up.
So, what kind of creatures are you getting back to the topic we've been kind of skirting around? What kind of creatures are you thinking about?
I watch some deep sea documentaries.
There's something to be said for the long lost sea creature or the what else are there? Like, I don't know. I like the old school creature features, like the creature from the Black Lagoon and that kind of stuff. Like those also have a bit of a kind of fun. It's fun, but also scary because they're attacking. There's a lot of violence involved with those because they attack and they tear apart things, and there's that. So there's a different type of horror. That's really, to me, a creature feature, not necessarily a horror film.
And Gilman in that film works so well because it's black and white.
Yeah, and there's some great underwater shots
Yeah.
in that film for the time. It
Yeah.
was like nobody'd ever really
Like
done
it
that.
stands up as being an incredible creature suit when you see it. If you saw it in color, it would immediately fall apart. But because it was filmed in black and white,
Yeah, they did it. They redid it for Monster Squad, which is another film I watched this month, and it's much better. What's his name? Did the creature effects for that
It was
one?
Winston.
Yeah, Stan Winston.
Oh, yeah.
And so the main ones, because you have Dracula, you have Frankenstein. What I liked about all those traditional monsters in that movie is that they just look a little bit like the Wolfman looks different than your traditional Wolfman. The Gillman looks different. Even Frankenstein doesn't. Sorry, Frankenstein's monster. For those of you who, my kids correct me on that all the time.
good, and so they should.
Frankenstein's monster does not have the traditional, like, it looks a little bit like the old school Universal one, but doesn't have the flat head that one does. But looks more like a regular, I guess, reanimated corpses, because that's what he is. But
Dog
anyway.
Soldiers is a good werewolf film where they made all the werewolves look like whippets.
Yeah.
Like to make them look super scary. They just look hungry.
Yeah, so I think maybe what you should do is take a look at all those kind of what's been done before and try and find a different way to show that, or come up with something completely new. It depends on the story, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go with the story?
Yeah.
This is I feel like we should have a story breaking episode about this stuff.
I think so.
So maybe
what I'll
next
do
time.
is I'll try to get the producer to come here, and the ones that he's allowed to talk about in production right now, we could do some of that. I think that could be a fun thing. Really hoping that it works out. Going to work on some of that stuff this week.
Cool.
It's going to be fun.
Sounds like fun. Okay.
What do you have coming up?
My next art book is coming together, and it also is going to contain a short story, and then I'll, in tandem, be working on the next graphic novel as well, Dragon Nanny, which I've been promising for a while.
You have been promising that
I've
for a
been
while.
promising for a while, and
You should see the pages he's done
I'm
so
sure
far.
they're
though.
amazing, yeah.
Whoa.
especially like the last couple months of conventions, because I talked about it last year and I've been talking about it this year, so I'm starting to really feel the pressure, like everybody's asking
Anticipating.
for it now.
Yeah.
And what a cool moment it is when people who have your books come and say, like, you told,
Where's the new one?
where's the new one? We really want it.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm among those people, so
Yeah.
where is it?
Oh God.
Back to work.
Yeah.
He's got 3 months to do it. He's got 3
Oh,
months.
so
to do it.
you have set the deadline for the printer?
No, we are having a meeting with the printer right away. I think my art book is going to come out first, because
Okay.
it'll have snippets of that and a short story and a bunch of other stuff that I've been hungry to do.
Well, and the art book is just a collection of the work you've done all
Yeah.
year, so it's,
Yeah.
it's a labor of weeks rather than months to
Yeah, it's
finish
true.
it. Yeah. We have the Firefly piece to do.
That's due today, so we have to write and make sure they know we're submitting it right away.
Oh, okay.
They said, the due date was October 15th, but if you're going to submit and you're going to need a couple more days, we understand, because this one was a little quicker than
Yeah.
they
And
usually
New
give
York
us a couple
Comic Con
months.
landed in the middle of it, so
Yeah.
they know a lot of people were working on that.
And they like us. So.
Yeah. I have 2 Firefly pieces I kind of did ahead of time that I can send, but I'm not.
Let's just say, I want to say that
I don't love them.
Everyone says Firefly is, Star Trek meets the Old West, which it kind of is. But in my mind, when you think about the Reavers in Firefly, it's Star Trek meets like Mad Max.
Yeah.
Like that in the movie, that scene where they're running away from them, that reminds me of Mad Max in space. So anyway,
Yeah. I really hope. I hope that reboot gets off the ground. So I'm sure it's connected.
I always thought for years there was a talk of an animated series, and I'm like, that's a great idea. Like,
No.
no, you don't think so?
No. No.
No.
No.
What about Star Trek the animated series? Wasn't that a great idea?
No.
I don't remember.
I've seen a lot of it.
Your
And
kids watch it, right?
my kids have seen it. It's
When you can't get the actors together, do an animated series so they can just record their voices whenever they want. It makes it easier, like Corner Gas.
That's not what I want.
Okay.
Don't want that.
Trailer Park Boys
That's
did
right.
that
They
too.
did too. Yeah, everybody.
What
does
is
it.
with that?
It is cheaper. It's cheaper and easier to do. Okay.
It can't be cheaper.
Well, it can't be
Okay,
cheaper
well,
for the
this
animation.
Has
Anyway.
been our follow-up to New York episode about following up on things. I hope that you will follow up by liking or subscribing to our podcast, which is now available because of Dan's foresight on Anchor. So we're available on Spotify also if you'd like to listen to us.
Pretty much
there.
anywhere you listen to podcasts are available now.
We're available now.
And I just to follow up, I will be posting old episodes. Right now, I've only got like this current season. This is the last like 8 episodes or so. Yeah. But there's another like 80 plus episodes that I have that I'll repost on Anchor because we're
And
We're shutting down the other one.
And to the 3 listeners that reached out to me via my Instagram stories asking when those other episodes would be loaded onto Spotify, you just got your answer. So
No,
thanks
they didn't.
for listening.
It's coming. It's the same answer Justin has for Dragon Danny. It's coming.
Oh,
I'll tell you when. It'll
why
be
do you
the-
break their hearts like that?
I'm waiting on the writer. Ooh,
That's
that's
hurtful.
what I'm going to start saying from now on.
That's right.
That is untrue. That
know,
is
but-
not how we work. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Dear listener, thank you for listening to Super Pulp Science, where I tolerate Dan and Justin. I hope you will join the fight and make comics.